Ethics is a subject that won't be useful in your career if you learn it. It won't come up often in your daily lives like history or geography. It isn't as useful as math or practical like English. There's no job that will require you to learn about ethics. However, if there was a time when ethics will be useful, it would be when death approaches you. From Now On We Begin Ethics is a manga written by Shiori Amase. The story debuted 9 years ago on Grand Jump Premium, and just as the name suggests, the story focuses on teaching us about ethics. Each chapter we're introduced to a new student and we learn about their personal struggles as well as who they are. They go through an event and at the end they get advice from our main character, Takayanagi. Now, for a lot of you, this manga is very different from my typical power fantasy action-packed shonen series. To that, I say you're right. This manga isn't flashy like Ichi the Witch or Kagurabachi, nor is it revolutionary like Berserk and Dragon Ball. Instead, the story leaves us with questions. It makes us think about what we do, how we act, and how we see things. It asks, what makes us human? If you like my content, consider leaving a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. It motivates me to keep the channel going and I love interacting with my audience. With that out of the way, let's begin ethics. Our story starts off with the narration by our protagonist in the chapter as she's getting railed by somebody and is caught by the teacher. Off to a great start already. As an introduction, this out-of-pocket setting helps to not only hook the reader, but is great at showcasing our main character, Takayanagi. Now, as the main character of the story, there isn't much to go on besides context clues and flashbacks to his past. Takayanagi is a mysterious man that genuinely has a passion for ethics, has amazing poses, and cares a great deal for his students. What I like about him is just how human he is. He isn't this perfect human that has all the right answers and is able to talk his way out of every situation. He's just a normal guy that offers advice to his students. There are times in the manga where it doesn't work out or there's a topic that's a little out of his comfort zone and it's nice to see him not knowing what to do with it. He treats his students as his equals and wants to understand them even when they don't open up to him. He's not as involved in the students' lives despite being the main character, only showing up whenever they have school. In the first chapter itself, Takayanagi only shows up in school throughout the story. It focuses only on Ichiko and her daily routine. Takayanagi only appears in the beginning, first middle part, and the end of the chapter to help her. It's a great depiction to show that the students are the main characters in their own lives, and I like how they're able to solve their own problems. All he needs to do is guide them in the time of ethics. What I like about this story is how personal their problems are and how they relate to ethics. Before reading this manga, the only ethics I knew were just basic work and societal ethics. After reading, I feel like I have a new perspective on my life and how I should act. Each character we're introduced to feels very familiar, almost too familiar. We learn about their family, their thoughts, and why they do the things they do. They feel like a reflection of us, or someone we once knew. The stories that stood out to me the most were in chapters 12 and 13. For me, these chapters were the ones that I found to be the most interesting and relatable. Each one follows two students, Hajime and Soga. They're both good kids that follow the rules, study hard, and get good grades, things you would expect from a model student. The problem lies with the individuals themselves. For Soga, while he's a good student, he doesn't talk at all with others but is able to make friends, have a good relationship with his family, and is overall a good kid. For the teachers, they think him not speaking is going to be a problem in society, since you're expected to communicate with others. So with him, the teachers are trying to correct a functioning human being because he doesn't conform to society. In the case of Hajime, he's the same as Koga, but his problem is more internal. He's a student that believes he's not smart, despite how much effort he puts into his studies. We learn that his mom pushes him to get these grades so that he can get a high-paying job and not end up like his father. He wants to make her proud, but genuinely feels like he's disappointing her with his grades. From what we've seen, he gets decent grades, but from a societal point, he believes his grades are average. This self-hate and anxiety illustrates how much power a single letter, or in this case a couple of digits, has over us. This could also be interpreted as the dangers of expectations and what they could have on a person depending on who you ask. These two stories stuck with me, and I love how they got me to think about society as a whole and how it tries to change people's ethics to suit their needs. The other stories themselves, I'm able to relate to them on a certain level. I relate to feeling anxious whenever I have too much freedom. I know what it's like being in a hopeless situation, and I know what it's like to want to feel special. Even more mature topics such as gender, sexuality, and suicide are depicted in a very realistic way. I've known people that have been in these situations, and I've given the same advice that Takayanagi has given them. Sometimes they work out, and I'm happy for them, but other times they just chuck my advice as far away as the eye can see. The story can get a little tropey, but it's not as unbearable as other stories that make it a big deal that last for 40-something chapters. Each story is very self-contained for the most part. Sometimes it needs 2 chapters or a character from a past chapter to really tie everything together. It ends with the character learning something from the class, as well as making me feel like I've learned something new as well. This story really does open up your mind on how to approach situations like these in the future, and it offers really good advice on life in general. There's a lot of details on these characters, and it's amazing how close to home the story can get at times, especially with describing certain thoughts, actions, and even some dialogue. Well, sometimes. It's moments like these that really make me appreciate how well the story is written and just how much care she's put into it. I really like these characters, and I like how even after the chapter is over, we can still see them as background characters in the classroom. It makes sense since, they're still students and they attend the same class together. My favorite moment of them is when they all come together for the last ethics class. Once all the students are introduced and we've all had our time to learn about them, they all come together to debate on a topic. It's here that we see what they learned from the class and how they use it to get their ideals and philosophies across to the other party. No one is trying to convince the other that they're right or wrong, it's just a discussion to better understand what they think about the topic. Everyone is given a chance to speak, and it's a great moment that ties everything up, and it elevates the storytelling to another level. This manga portrays problems that we as a society constantly deal with and teaches us how to live with it. As a whole, we're very complicated, and the author is able to portray that complexity into this manga. I can tell she loves ethics, and every chapter she makes oozes with that passion. I respect her devotion to the topic and the story that she's trying to convey with it. The art itself is simple, and I don't find anything wrong with it. It's a very rough and crude art style that I think fits the gritty and real life aspect of the manga. Compared to most modern manga that try to outdo each other, there isn't really anything that stands out here. With this manga, the simple art style helps us focus on the more grounded story that it's trying to tell. It reminds us that, at the end of the day, this is a story about high schoolers trying to live their lives. This isn't a manga about trying to be the smartest, the best athlete, or even the strongest. It's a story that teaches you about life. Ethics isn't this all-powerful method that will instantly make your life better. All it does is help guide you in the right direction, helping you make the right choice that suits you. After this manga, I've definitely grown an appreciation for the topic and what message it was trying to teach me. I see myself in these guys and relate to their problems and worries. Back during my school days, I would worry about grades, getting into a good college, and landing a good job. This constant worrying got so bad that I would have frequent nightmares about failing a class or being forced to repeat a grade because of it. I've told my friends before, and they think that I was worrying too much, and yeah, they're right, I was worrying too much. Even my parents at the time, they didn't really force me to do anything I didn't want to do. They didn't tell me to go to cram school, they didn't tell me to stay after school to learn more. Hell, they even offered to help me out with these and get me a tutor if I was struggling with these classes. Seeing this being depicted in this manga feels like I was reliving my old school days, studying constantly only to get mediocre grades and feeling like I'm not doing enough for my parents. I wish I had someone like Takayanagi to give me advice on what I should do, but I never did. In the end, I had to figure things out by myself, just like every other person did. I did eventually find what I wanted to do, and now I'm happy as I can be. I've never gotten that nightmare again, and I hope others never have to. School is important, but it shouldn't take over your life. I've gone to places that I never thought I would in a million years. I've experienced new things that I was scared to do back in that dark time. School is important and it teaches you things that you need to learn in life, but actually experiencing it is a whole different thing that I think everybody should do. You only have one life, so why waste it? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video, and I'm sorry that this took so long to make. If you couldn't tell, my voice is very, gone, and I've actually just recovered from it. I got hit with a terrible cold. It's not COVID, I already checked, and I'm in the process of recovering now. This is the best that my voice could get, and I really just wanted this video to come out as soon as possible. If you or someone you know is interested in ethics or is feeling lost in life, I highly recommend this manga as you'll find a bit of solace in it and the story. I've certainly felt like I learned something new with this manga, and I'm excited to keep on reading it. I'm hoping the next video won't take as long and that I can get it out as soon as possible. I already have an idea of what manga I want to talk about next, so stay tuned for that. With all that said though, I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on reading.